Okay, we are live. Sophia has joined me tonight. Say
Hi,
hi.
everybody. Please excuse the cat ear.
Yeah, we're unfortunately, I don't know if Sarah's going to be able to make it or not. She's has some stuff that's going on with her job and then, life. But as soon as she gets her stuff straightened out and she gets a moment, she will be joining us for another live. I did hear from her. Hey, look, it's Crypt Rick. He joined us. Hi, Crypt Rick. How are ya? Um, but tonight we just decided just to kind of just jump on and do a live and discuss anything really. It's kind of like going to be an open mic type thing, but um, I do really want to go back over and I want to show the autopsy reports again, where it shows, the difference in the autolysis for David, showing that David's is more advanced than Kamel's and Ranya's, because I really think this is so important and it needs to get out there. And then Sophia has written some stuff up that she would like to share. And anyway, you got anything you want to add?
The autolysis is in the information that I wrote up, so we're going to be covering it.
Cool.
Yeah.
Good. Then we're really, yeah, I just, and I hope people don't mind that we're going to double down, triple down on this, because it is so, so, so important. Um, should we just start with the autopsy reports again? I think I'll do that. Let me share. Well, first of all, let me get my screen up, because otherwise then I won't be doing this correctly. And share screen. So are you seeing the autopsy report, Sophia?
No.
Why is it not showing that? Okay. What is wrong with, oh, jeepers. See? Oh, here we go. It always takes me a minute to figure this out. Okay, it should be sharing now. Are you seeing
Yes, I see
it?
it now. Hmm.
Okay, good. Sorry, everybody. I know I should do lives more often so I can get used to this. As you can see, this here is David's autopsy report right here, deceased David Crowley. And we're going to go down to the very end where it talks about the autolysis. Under microscopic examination, this is at the very end, it says sections of liver and kidney, one, show marked autolysis and no discernible pathological abnormalities. Now, and I'm sure you guys remember, because Sophia's read it several times now, but there is a website online that discusses the first, second, and third degrees of autolysis. There might be a fourth degree. I'm trying to remember, but the marked autolysis means that 75% of the what the nucleus, correct? It's like it is broken down and it's vacuolized. So in vacuoles, what a vacuole is a little pocket of fluid. So that's really what happens as the body starts to break down and quote unquote eat itself. You know, this is where the fluid eventually will begin, that the body will start to ooze. And you will see that means that at least 75% of David's cells were already getting to that point of getting liquid. But yet they were still solid. They could still take samples and cut through everything. Now let's look at whose was this one. This is Kamel's. So now we're going to go down and look at Kamel's, the wording on Kamel's. And on this microscopic examination, it just says autolysis, pathological changes not identified. And what that means is that there was no sign of any type of disease. So they didn't see or identify any pathology or diseases. But everything else, it's just autolysis. Now we're going to go to Ranya's. Same thing. You see her name right here. Now let's go to the very bottom of hers as well. Microscopic examination. Sections of heart, liver, and kidney show autolysis and postmortem bacterial growth. No significant pathological abnormalities are identified. So again, same thing, just autolysis. Um, there was something else I was going to say. Cheapers. I hate it when my brain just kind of, oh, that's what I was going to do. See? I just need to keep switching and I'll figure it out. Now look and see who signed each one. This is David's. And we see that Jessica Lelinski and Mitchell Morey signed David's. Let's see who signed Kamel's. It was Mitchell Morey and Lauren Jackson, who is the reviewing pathologist. And then, of course, Mitchell Morey was the medical examiner, or assistant medical examiner. And then for Rania, hers was signed by all three, Jessica, Mitchell, and then Lauren. So Dr. Lelinski, Dr. Morey, and Dr. Jackson. Now, Dr. Morey is on all three, and Dr. Lelinski is on two. So the fact that these clearly show that David's was in a marked state tells you that they knew that David's decomposition was a little bit further along. You have anything you want to add, Sophia?
And this is the process of death. It doesn't skip steps. So David's is showing that he did die first, and it just goes right through that process. His was marked, not just marked autolysis, but grade 3 autolysis.
Yes, and
which is, and right. I put the link in the group, in the chat too, for everybody.
Good. Perfect. I did go to that site and I followed that link and I went to the site, and yes, and the grade 3 is the marked autolysis, because and then you see when you're at that site, you see the differences where, the first stage is the beginning, or 25 to 50 or something like that, then 50 to 75, and then 75 or greater. So Dave, there is definitely a difference. So when you're in autolysis, they're still at the beginning stages. There's not many vacuoles or vacuolization. There's not much vacuolization going on at that point. But with David's, you clearly state, when it states marked, that it's roughly 75% of those cells now have vacuolization going on, or the vacuoles, which are little pockets of fluid. You can't make this up. They're all three, like Sophia was just saying, all three in the same room. So they're all three exposed to the same environment, the same conditions, everything. That only, I mean, you can't make this up. So I don't know. I'm not paying attention to the chat. Is there anybody in chat right now?
Nova just joined.
Okay.
The live. Rick is there. So is Greg.
Okay.
And Rick just says, it's fascinating to me how the body breaks itself down after death. Disgusting, but interesting. And he's right.
Yeah. It is definitely interesting. Got my hands full right now, but if I can join, I definitely will. Oh, that would be great, Greg. Hopefully you can. And hi, Nova. But yes, it was, I want to say something about this. I remember when I was in nursing school, and it came to the point where we had the cadaver section, and the school I was going to, the college I was going to, because not all of them had cadavers, but this one, they actually had cadavers. And the first thing they always tell you is you have to be respectful. These people donated their bodies, and you can't talk about how much they weigh or how old they are. You can't talk about any of that stuff, because in the medical field, you come across all body types. So I mean, it gets to the point to where it's like a body's a body. You don't even care. You don't see things anymore. Things that somebody might feel uncomfortable about themselves. Trust me, we're like, whatever, let's just get this done. So, I remember it was time for us to we're having an exam about body parts, muscles, ligaments, and stuff. So this particular uh, cadaver that I was assigned to, it was an older person, and so they slice them in different stages, right? Some places it's just, it's just like maybe the top layer of skin, and then it goes down to the muscle, and then some will go down to the bone. And I remember when I got to her thigh, everybody wants to know why I'm now a vegetarian. This is why. I get to the thigh and we have to, you have to touch and you pull things apart and look, and then you have to say what this muscle is, where it's attached. And I'm like sitting there and I'm like going, "Oh my God, I had steak at home, right? Waiting to cook." It was just like the steak. I couldn't. I could not go home. I can't eat meat ever since. So it's very disturbing. And then when going to the morgue that one time, I mean the medical examiner's office the one time, and then you see bodies in different stages of decomp. It's fascinating, it's disgusting, and it smells. The human body stinks when it's decomposing, but it is fascinating. You look at this body, you see the human body in the hospitals, you see how hard it is to kill this thing that we take it, for granted every day. And then you watch as it breaks itself down to then basically become part of the ground again. It's actually pretty cool. And I am telling you, Greg, it looks like steak. It was so gross. I can't do meat anymore. I've thought about it, but it's like, yeah, no. Take that thigh muscle and slap it on the barbecue. I know that's what I was thinking. I'm like, I got home and pulling this steak to cook for my family, and I was like, okay, guys, I couldn't do it. It's like, nope.
I literally just ate. Now I'm like, oh, this is so gross.
I'm so sorry. I just had steak, Greg, could you? Well, it won't be so bad because you're not actually touching the cadaver, but I'm telling you, I can't. I know a lot of people give us non-meat eaters some hard time because there are a lot of weirdos out there who take things to the extreme. I, for one, am grateful there are fake burgers I can eat because it's like, yay, I'm not paying $7 for a bun and a piece of lettuce. Now I actually get a fake burger because I won't touch the real thing anymore. It's like, nope. um, what do you do for Thanksgiving? Oh, there's really good tofurkeys. Oh, that's there's some excellent recipes. Oh, and plus we always make everything, from scratch, but there's mashed potatoes, green bean casserole. I do a stuffing, a vegetarian, but without using the juices from the turkey, which is the way I used to do it when I ate turkey. But I just used vegetable broth now. And oh no, there's lots and lots of things to eat for Thanksgiving. Oh, beet burgers. They are really, really good. Man, yes. And we had some in Kona. Oh, that's my daughter's dog's name, Kona. Oh, where's Kona? Is that Hawaii? Look, tofurkeys. I know it's really a funny name, but it's making a turkey out of tofu, but it's really, really good. It's tofu on the outside, and on the inside will be like pine nuts and all kinds of yummy things inside. It's super, super, super yummy. Oh, that's what I thought. Hawaii. Kona, Hawaii. But boy, this really took a step off the deep end real quick.
Yeah, just a little bit. How many minutes? It's only been 14.
I'm sorry. I'm sorry, guys. Leave it to me. Okay, the Big Island. Kona is the Big Island. I've only been to, what is it, Oahu, which was nice. Waikiki was really pretty, but that was so long ago. But the ocean was amazing, especially at night. Hey, good morning. Well, hello, Russell. It's like good evening for us. What time is it for you? Should be like morning or something. Afternoon, morning time. But yeah, so since I got us all off on a really weird tangent, maybe I'll let Sophia read what she was going to
I
what
don't want to read it.
do you want me? I've been talking all this time. We need to hear from you too. Greg says
Yeah.
my wife didn't like it. She didn't like the volcanic environment. I loved it. No good wine now. Oh, I did. I understand that. I could see that, the volcanoes and stuff, if they erupt, where do you go? I mean, you're in the middle of an ocean. Where do you go? But it was so pretty. Yeah, when I went, I remember this was back in the early 80s. So it's been a long time. I've only been once. But back then, even a gallon of milk, we went to the store to get a gallon of milk, and it was like $6. It was ridiculous. Oh, yeah, it is still early for you, Russell. Yeah, look at I'm hungry now. I know. We're talking about steak and cadavers, and Nova's like, I'm hungry. I'm just like, give me steak. Oh God. Okay. I'll get this set up and shared. So Sophia, you gotta read it. Uh,
I'm trying not to barf right now.
oh, okay. Well then I'm so sorry. I'm so sorry. I didn't mean to. Well, then let me get a drink so I can read it. I know I'm too busy giggling about the steak, but I'm telling you, it was just like that. And it's like I can't do the meat.
Greg all of a sudden wants to watch Silence of the Lambs. You can watch Dexter too. It's just as bloody.
Yeah. Oh, there was the TV show. What was it? Hannibal, where he actually is eating the people.
Okay, could we?
Okay, here we go. And is this, do you want to tell people what this is for, Sophia? Did you write this for a particular reason?
Just to remind people that there was at least 5 really good facts that David didn't do this.
Okay, cool. And I think maybe the thing is that you are going to be starting a YouTube channel, right? Right?
No.
Well, what about in this video? You say in this video, supporters in this video?
Your supporters. If everybody could just give Catherine a like
Okay,
for this video, please. It helps with the algorithm. And leave a comment. Oh, stop it, Greg.
She's backtracking. Yeah, okay. We'll read it. She states, "Hello, Crowley family supporters. In this video, I'd like to discuss some of the key points regarding the Crowley family case. Most of you, I'm assuming, are pretty familiar with this case. If you are a new viewer, then welcome. I hope that I hope that I earn your like and subscription today." See, she's going to be getting a channel. We're going to make her get one. My goal for this video is to break down the key points of the Crowley family deaths for you. And if you have any questions or comments, please feel free to leave them in the comment section down below. Folks, I hate to say this, but we have all been misled when it comes to this particular case. What occurred within the Crowley home sometime between Christmas Day and the 2 weeks following up to the discovery of the Crowley family's bodies on January 17, 2015, is not what was told within the police reports, the BCA reports, the autopsy reports, and the stories told by friends and family members. Please understand that I'm not blaming family members in this video. They probably had good intentions and were just misled by the Apple Valley Police Department and other people involved within this case. I'm also not going to accuse any certain person of this crime. So many fingers have been pointed in every direction, but honestly, it's all circumstantial evidence and none of it can be proven within a court of law. What can be proven is the information that I'm about to reveal within this video. The actual facts of this case that are found within the crime scene photos and all the reports that we have received from Minnesota authorities. My first point that I'd like to go over is that the police ruled David the perpetrator of this crime on the only fact that there was no forced entry into the home and no signs of a struggle. If you will allow me, I would like to address why this conclusion is false. There doesn't have to be signs of forced entry into the home if the backsliding glass latch is broken or doesn't work properly. It is a fact that when the police arrived onto the crime scene, the back sliding glass door was slightly ajar. In order to commit a homicide, you do not have to have a sign of struggle or stolen a single thing. In fact, we do not know if anything was stolen, but what we do know is that the Electronics Crime Unit Report Item 5 states that the root file was accessed on January 14, 2015. The bodies were found on January 17th. They were already deceased. So who accessed David's computer? And did the person or persons access his computer from inside the home or remotely? Since this was never investigated further, we do not have that answer. My next point is the fact that from the crime scene photos provided by the BCA and the AVPD, there are no signs of high velocity gunshots blood spatter. Here is an example. Oh, well, we've shown that before.
Yes.
So basically what she's describing is that you'll see fine misting and again, brain matter, and all of that was missing from the scene. The force necessary to produce the size of blood spatter is greater than 100 feet per second. She said this particular type of impact spatter measures less than 1 millimeter or 0.1 centimeter in size. The force necessary to produce the size of blood spatter is greater than 100 feet per second. Because of this size and force used to create the blood spatter, it has a mist-like appearance. In this particular case, we do not see this type of blood spatter anywhere within the crime scene photos. What we do see are passive and low velocity blood droplets along with medium velocity blood droplets. Medium velocity blood spatter can measure between 1 millimeter or 0.1 centimeters to 4 millimeters or 0.4 centimeters in size. When you look at the BCA crime scene photos, the team applied a ruler next to the certain blood droplets within the photos. This ruler is in millimeters and centimeters, not inches. This is how we know the size of these particular blood droplets and that high velocity gunshot spatter is not present. And I don't know why, but that is all this shows.
Oh, really?
Yeah, that's all that I was able to get copied. That's so weird. Do you have the rest?
Yeah, I do.
Okay.
I happily welcome each listener to review the crime scene photos, which can be found on Facebook within the Justice for David Crowley and Family group, or at Greg Fernandez's website, which is located at thegraystage.com, I believe is what it's called now. 1 second, and I will double check that. I see the Gray Stage at wordpress.com, which, by the way, copy that link and put it in the chat. There we go. After reviewing the photos, please use whichever search engine you would like to look up the different blood spatter patterns to compare with the crime scene photos. My next point that I'd like to discuss are the autopsy reports. I won't be going into detail, but I would like to point out that David, Kamel, and Rania were all autopsied at the Hennepin County ME office. On the bottom of the last page of each report is a very unassuming sentence. What people, and especially me, didn't realize. Oops, my thing turned. What people, and especially me, didn't realize is that this sentence blows the official narrative right out of the water. For Camille and Rania, there are states that both had autolysis. Autolysis is the first stage of decomposition, and it starts to take place within 4 minutes after death. Autolysis is where the tissue begins to be destroyed and broken down by their own enzymes. For David's autopsy, and here's the kicker, his states that his body showed marked autolysis or grade 3 autolysis. According to researchgate.net, and I put this link at the very top of the group chat, basically what Catherine covered earlier was that his body was in more than 75% of the internal granular cell nuclei, showing changes with marked vascularization. Basically, David's decomposition was further along than Camille's or Rania's decomposition. He died before they did. I cannot say how much longer he was deceased, but than they were, but his autolysis was significantly further along than theirs. This is not something that occurs because of the body type or environment. This is the process of death. Moving on to my next to last point I'd like to cover today are the bullets that were found at the crime scene. Within the BCA lab results, Camille had 3 bullets with her DNA found on them. I don't have the photos of them, but if you look closely to the items, to these bullets, which were items 42, 43, and 44, excuse me, they show that that there's clearly hair, tissue, blood on them, that they look dirty and corroded, basically, compared to Rania's and David's bullets. And if you compare them to Rania's and David's, the bullet that had David's DNA on them, oh gosh, sorry, I'm losing track of where I am, because I don't have the photos. Okay, item 53, the bullet with Rania's DNA on it was found 2 days after the police had cleared the crime scene. It was taken into evidence and it was tested. The blood tested positive on this bullet. When it was DNA tested, it was Rania's DNA and 2 other unknown individuals that popped up in the results. David and Camille were ruled out as contributors. And then now we go back to item 57. Item 57, the bullet found a month after this case, basically after the crime scene was cleared, and this was found in the attic. This one was one that supposedly had David's DNA on it. The bullet was taken into evidence and it tested negative for blood. Remember, folks, this was a hollow point bullet with petals that when it enters a person or an object, they mushroom out and they grab onto biological materials or material of the object that this is traveling through. When this bullet was tested for DNA, the BCA lab used a test called the PCR-STR test, which means the STR, short tandem repeat, which means replicating a small amount of DNA a number of times until the profile can be used to compare it with. STR profiling is an analytical DNA technique which the PCR applicants on a genetic analyzer and uses software to analyze the resulting DNA. This is so dry. Oh my gosh.
Yeah, but it's important.
Uh, and compares that data from one specimen to databases housing previously generated STR sets. So basically, not only are they replicating the DNA enough to where they can get a profile from it, but they're also then analyzing it against other profiles that are within the system, is what I'm trying to say. I'd like to add that Ranya's bullet, item 53, also went through the same exact testing process. Item 57 showed that with one swab that was DNA tested had David's DNA on it. At this point, I'd like to remind all the viewers that the BCA ran a nuclear DNA test for all the items that they tested. And then, of course, nuclear DNA consists of blood, blood stains, saliva, skin, tissue, other liquids that contain a nucleus within it. Trying to hurry this up. Since item 57 tested negative for blood, but the BCA did find David's DNA on the swab that was tested, we can assume that it was either saliva or skin cells that were found on the bullet. And I don't have...
Because basically, aren't you saying that the sample that they got from item 57 was so small that in order
Mhm.
for them to get a DNA profile, they had to replicate it multiple times before the DNA profile was then enough to say, this is who this is, which is
Yes, correct.
another indication that, I mean, the fact that it there was no blood found, no blood indicated on it. That's in the reports. So not only is it look clean, but it doesn't test positive for blood. And now they have such a small sample. They have to replicate it over and over and over again in order to find a positive profile that then matches David. So this clearly tells us that this was not the bullet that killed him.
Correct. And with that, along with the fact that it's a hollow point bullet with the petals that just branch out, I mean, the fact that it didn't collect blood, tissue, hair, or anything like that on this bullet, and it looks much cleaner than the ones that we know for a fact went through Kamel.
Mm-hmm.
I can just assume that this is not the bullet that killed David. Okay, and why do I not have anything else after that? One minute. Because I forgot that I moved it over to a different file. Gosh, it's been a couple weeks, folks.
Like, darn it.
My final key point is a difficult topic, but we'll be discussing the way that David's body was found and the location of the gun. Out of respect for the families, I'm not going to show the entire photo, and I was supposed to show just a cropped image. You want me to send that to you so we can...
Um, I think most people by now.
Okay. Because it's just extremely cropped, but it's basically David's autopsy report states that he had an exit wound left by the bullet that was located on the left side of his skull. If you want to kind of right there, right back there. And the left parietal bone. The gun was found on his left side of David, several inches away from his body, between his hip and his knee. The muzzle is pointing upwards towards the recliner, and the grip is pointing downwards toward David's feet. David was right-handed, but he used both his hands to grip his gun while he shot it. And we know this because of photos that we have seen posted by people that were in David's group, basically. They filmed with him, they took photos of him, and he's got others where he's like at the gun range shooting. So, and he always had like this. Oops, like that. Sorry, dyslexia playing again. Left hand or right hand. That's important to remember because once the gun was fired, it should have landed on his right side. But here we have it on the left side. The arms are out his arms are out like this. And the gun is down between the knee and the hip area. So, anyway.
Yeah, and that's, just for to continue the visual, that's the thing that doesn't make sense. Now, if he's holding it with his right hand because he's right-handed, I mean, we know he's not going to be doing this. There's just really no way to do that. So it would have to be a one-handed grip. However, the fact is he's got to be shooting himself somewhere over here back behind the ear. Why? That just doesn't make sense. So somewhere over here back behind the ear, it's this way. But yet the gun, instead of remaining in the hand or dropping straight down, it makes it over the body and then down by the leg, like she was saying. Between, you said the knee and the hip?
Mm-hmm. The knee and the hip.
Yeah. So it's like, how? How does it get there?
And then we have the muzzle pointing upwards towards the recliner.
Yeah. So yeah, the barrel is down below, and the barrel is pointing up, but the grip is down below. This just doesn't make any sense.
And then, of course, we have the bullet that supposedly exited the left side and is in the ceiling in the opposite direction. How did that bullet not go out the window or where the wall is right next to the window? How did it just do a U-turn and go in the opposite direction? And that's literally what my last point was.
Yeah, and that is what so many people want you to believe. Now, he's lying on the floor, front window's here, left side of his over here. The exit wound is coming this way, but yet the bullet entry, the exit wound is this way, but the bullet in the ceiling is this way. It doesn't add up. I mean, the simple fact that it doesn't have blood, hair, or tissue on it, and it says no blood. They found no blood on it. It's like, and then they had to replicate this small, minute amount of DNA hundreds of times in order to even get a profile. It's obvious it's not the one that killed him. And yet they accounted for every bullet and casing in the house, but they're missing David's. And for me, I say that they're missing Rania's too. So where were they when they were shot? Because they clearly were not shot and killed in the house. Their bullets aren't there. Where are those bullets? Where did all this take place?
And they didn't investigate further on the unknown DNA that was found on Rania's bullet?
Right. That's a very good point, because David and Kamel were excluded from the DNA found on item number 53, and yet it was a mixture of two or more. Rania was positively identified. David and Kamel were excluded. Hello.
But I think the real big kicker of this whole entire thing is the marked autolysis for
Mm-hmm.
David, because that right there just it blows everything else out of the water. It
Yep.
proves he died first. You can't speed that up in somebody. It is just the process of death. It's not because of weight, it's not because of
Well, I
body
mean,
tone or anything like that.
environments and stuff can accelerate decomposition, like hotter environments and stuff, but you mean to so again, if that's what they want us to think, well then we know David was not killed in the house, because then where was he in a hotter environment that caused him to die sooner, or I mean, decompose faster, and but yet somehow after he has passed away and he's decomposing, he now makes it to his living room lying on the floor. It's ludicrous. So you put that together then with, you have someone accessing the root drive. um, when I
Hmm.
when I saw that, and the only reason why that caught my eye is because I forget, we were talking. Who were we talking with? No, it was, I maybe it was like Zeducation. I don't know. Maybe a meme he put out. Somebody put out something, and they're just like, are you this old? And I'm like, no, I'm DOS old. Back when you use DOS to get around your system. In DOS, you had to constantly, and you were accessing your root drive to find out what things were. And then when Windows came to be, you no longer really had to do that. But yet somebody accessed the root drive. That's not an automatic thing, not by an accidental moving of the mouse that went to sleep and it comes awake. And no, that is a manual, purposeful thing that you have to do. You have to go in, check that drive, and access it. What is there? What is not there? That happened on the 14th. Their bodies were found on the 17th. David has 75% of his nuclei are now vacuolizing. Kamel and Rania are not. They're still in the early stages. And when you're looking at their decomposition, even the reports, the autopsy reports say early to moderate. I think it says on all of them early to moderate. And it's like, how many things have to be presented before the police finally say, oops, we rushed to judgment, we made a mistake? There are so many things here, and you can't walk this back anymore. It's too late. It's in the reports. Once the words marked autolysis jumped out on that page, it was over. It's over.
Yep. So this is why when people ask me if I was shown evidence, would I ever change my mind about David being not guilty? And I'd be like, no, I would never change my mind now because of the marked autolysis. David is innocent. He died before Camille and he died before Rania.
Yeah, and you're right. For a long time, we all said that. We all said, hey, if you can show us beyond a shadow of a doubt, a video or whatever, if David really is guilty, we would change our minds. But like
Mhm.
you, it's like the moment that registered in my brain, it's like, nope, you can't. It's like, it's like, I don't even know. I'm trying to think of something that maybe some people could I'm trying to think of an analogy and I just can't think of one right now. But you can't. It's like, say you have 3 bells, right? And you go in and you ring one bell, and then you wait 5 minutes and you ring the other 2, and then try to go back and say, "Oh, no, I'm going to switch this so this is ringing before the other 2." You can't. The bell's been rung. It's too late. It's been done. And that's really the same thing with this case. Those words, it's too late. in the doctor's handwriting. You have 3 doctors there, 2 of which, well, one, Dr. Maury, who was there for all 3 autopsies, and then Dr. Lelinski, who was there for David's and for Ranya's. And when they're writing marked, they know the difference. They didn't write marked on Kamel's. They didn't write marked on Ranya's. They wrote it on David's. It's over.
Hmm. He died before they did.
He did.
And what happened to this family then?
Yep.
What happened in that house? But I guess we'll just never know the truth.
Yeah. And that's the thing that's scary because, you know, this is, I guess, what keeps a lot of us up at night. I sit there and I
Hmm.
try to think in my head, how did this go down? But once David was gone, and then when you see what happened to Kamel and you see what happened to Rania, what did they go through? Did they know? Because, again, there is no high velocity blood spatter in that house. And was David killed somewhere? I'm throwing that out there. Was it? And if he was, did they know? Did Rania know her daddy wasn't coming to save her? This is horrible what this family went through. And to have these police officers and these so-called other people who are connected who said they cared about this family, you're going to allow this narrative to continue when the evidence is right in front of your faces. How can you sleep at night?
Well, what I don't understand is the ME knew. They knew.
They did.
And they still wrote it down as suicide.
Yep, murder, suicide. And that is a criminal act in my mind and in my opinion, because they wrote those reports. They knew he was dead longer. And then they say he killed them and then he shot himself. Really? Again, same thing. You can't unring that bell, Dr. Lelinski, Dr. Maury.
Hmm.
Your words. We are showing the world your words. These aren't things we've made up. These aren't fantasies. We read from your reports. So how can you live with yourselves? How do you sleep at night saying what you're
Yeah.
saying?
It's not even a reading comprehension issue
No.
because it literally says marked autolysis.
Yes.
And
I'm
go
sorry.
ahead.
And that's the thing with the medical field. It's like, when I was an EMT and we're writing our reports, the first thing they always teach you is if it's not written, it's not done. Even if you did it, if you didn't write it, it's not done. And what
Hmm.
you write makes a difference. Is it just a laceration or is it a deep laceration? Is it a chest wound or is it a sucking chest wound? Is it autolysis or is it marked autolysis? Everything means something and it's important. So the fact that they differentiated between autolysis and marked autolysis is all I needed to see for me to go, it's over. It's just, you can't undo it.
Hmm. And then when you add all the other things, like the root file being accessed, the bullet not, item 57 not having blood on it, and being found up in the rafters in the opposite direction of the exit wound or the exit point of David's skull. You have the unknown DNA found there, the no high velocity blood spatter. It just means that David is innocent.
Yeah. And then Greg writes, maybe she meant to write JK at the end of the report. It's a joke. And then Nova says, it's so awful, but I stand by David's side 100%. Yep.
Yeah.
Absolutely. Absolutely.
And then to know that there are people out there who just slander David, calling him an awful father, an awful human being, a killer, and things like that. I mean, This man is innocent. Yeah, that's right, Nova. He's 100% innocent. And these people should be ashamed of what they have said about David. Absolutely ashamed.
And to me it's criminal too that we have the media, we have the police, we even have the city attorney, we have everybody, even still the police chief, even now, even though the old one has retired. I can't say his name. It's a weird name. I can't pronounce it, which I probably could if I heard him say it, but then I'd probably still forget. Point. Okay, tangent over. They are all allowing a lot of people, to say these horrible things. Because when you watch some videos, I've watched videos and interviews throughout the years, and even reading these articles from the Star Tribune, the New York Times, was that it? The New York Times? Who was it? The New Yorker, that's what it was. And all these other people who call him these horrible names, who say these derogatory remarks about this man. And we have the proof in their files that he died first, and not just shortly before they died. He died a while before they died. Was it 5 hours? Was it 10 hours? We don't know. But it wasn't just a matter of minutes. He had passed away before they did.
Mhm.
And so to have the police allow these other places to call him and say these, like you said, a murderer, he killed his daughter, he wrote his wife in his wife's blood he didn't do any of this. He was already gone. And I'm like, it's disgusting. At least I made you laugh. Yeah, you did. I know. It's just, this just gets me so angry. I don't understand how the police department can even maintain the I don't know, pretending that they're even somewhat professional when they made a mistake this big, and then stick to that mistake, and then have the gall to tell me, and they said it to me and I have it recorded, that they're content and they're fully happy and satisfied with their results. You screwed up their Apple Valley Police Department, and the autopsy reports prove it. Yeah, it makes me livid too, Nova. I just don't. Oh, that's why. I mean, my face is all red. I know it's red. It's because I'm really angry right now, as I'm trying to control that anger. But it's like, ah,
Just wait till we dig into the Philip Haney case. Ooh.
oh, that's another good one.
There's already unknown DNA in that case. And they ruled out all the cops and first responders at that scene. So, yeah, I'm
See?
going to have fun with that one.
Yeah, and you're like going, "What the hell? What the hell?" And then just briefly, I was going over his autopsy and okay, let me move my mic. His wound in his chest, midline, 4.5 inches over, be like right above where his left breast would be. Who's going to be taking a gun and shooting themselves? The man was a professional, right? He knew how to handle a gun. Why would he do that? What the hell? This is faster. This is
Mhm.
faster. Or why would he go here? And oh yeah, I was just like, oh geez. I don't know. Is a prerequisite to be a police officer anymore to be an absolute sellout? To me, I see these people as cowards. And if there's anything I loathe more, I don't think I loathe anything more in this world than a coward. If you can't stand up for a truth, and it doesn't matter how comfortable or uncomfortable that truth may be, you need to stand up for truth. And if you can't do that because your peers are pushy, get the hell out of your job. You should be pushing those peers out of their jobs because they are breaking the law. They're lying. They're not serving and protecting. They have an agenda that serves them. And if you have a police officer that's concerned, or anybody in a legal department or anywhere, their only purpose is to serve themselves, you're not a servant of the people, and you need to get the hell out of that position. Okay,
Amen.
sermon over. Oh,
Yeah. What Rick said here, for me, the blood pattern on David's clothing spoke volumes. Absolutely correct. Uh, his body was staged. I mean, if he did shoot himself and he landed slumped forward, then how did he end up? Is that prone?
Prone is face down.
Okay,
Supine
let's see.
is on your back. So
Supine.
if he's going to land even on his back, the blood would be toward the back, not all the way down the front of him and down into his onto his underclothes. It
Correct.
doesn't happen that way. And again, I think we've talked about that before. I know in the ER, we undressed. I was there, so it wasn't just me. That's why I say we. We undressed. I don't know how many people who had head wounds, other abdominal wounds, or whatever. And the blood goes to the lowest point. It follows gravity. If you believe in gravity, it goes down. Wherever the lowest point is, it's going to follow the path of least resistance. The path of least resistance is not lying on your back and then somehow making its way down the front of him. He had to have been sitting or standing. It's the only thing that explains that, the pattern and how that blood was. Not shooting himself and lying on his back. No, it doesn't work that way. You think I don't know what the hell I'm talking about? Go try it. Go whack yourself in the head or something. Put some clothes on or whatever, and then fall backward and see where the blood goes. Yeah. Thanks,
Yep.
Noble. I agree. Oh, yeah.
I don't know what else to say on this.
I know. It's just, it's there. It's evident. And I think one last time before we drop the subject, I'm going to show those autopsies one last time. And so everybody else can see it again. And this is David's. We'll start with David's. Go all the way down. Microscopic examination. Show marked autolysis and no discernible pathological abnormalities.
Can I ask you a question?
Sure.
Do they do that right away? Like during the autopsy, they take a sample and go look, or do they do this later on?
Sometimes it depends on what it is that they're doing. Sometimes they'll take a slide, they'll slice some off and put it on a slide and go look at it right away. And then sometimes they'll just put it in solution and wait and look at it later. So, and I don't know what they did. But I will tell you that once they got these bodies in there and took these samples, it was set. So it's not
Mhm.
like, it's not like they could take this and then it sat for a day or two and, oh, that's why all of a sudden it's 75%. That no, this was as it is at that time of autopsy and death.
I'm just wondering why didn't they just pick up the phone and say, hey, by the way, his is more marked than the others. He didn't do this, but nobody picked up the phone. Nobody.
Well, no, because that's what we talked about. Because right here, but yet, what do they say at the very beginning here? They say, where is it? Apparently shot his wife and daughter and then shot himself in the head.
Apparently, though.
Are you kidding me? Are you freaking kidding me? Hennepin County Medical Examiner's Office. You say that at the beginning, and then at the end, your own reports state marked autolysis. Kamel's doesn't say that. Right here, Kamel at the end. Autolysis. Wanya. Autolysis. It just pisses me off to no end. I don't understand how they can. Again, how are they sleeping at night?
I don't understand. I mean, honestly, this has taught me a huge lesson in just believing the authorities and thinking that the police are never wrong. Before this case, I used to be that naive. And now I've seen it not only in just this case, I've seen it in the Kylie Rodni case. I saw it in the Nikolai, gosh darn it, what is her last name? The one over in England where they said that she drowned. She'd been missing for several weeks. And then they pulled her body out of a river. She didn't drown. I mean, she might have, but she didn't end up in that water by herself. That case is way too strange. And, it's just so many cases. And it's not just one police department. There's all these police departments around. And, it's really
and
sad.
It is. It's very sad, because it's like, I don't know. I've heard of cases where somebody has a double tap to the back of their head and it's ruled a suicide. Really? I don't think so. And,
especially if they have connections to Clinton.
Right. Exactly. And it's like, that's what I'm saying is that it's right now, it seems like the rule of thumb, is if you are easily paid off, if you're easily influenced, scared into doing something wrong, then you're good to go. But if you have the cojones to stand up and say no, then you're ostracized, demonized, kicked, and imprisoned. The whole thing is just freaking backwards anymore.
Well, we were ostracized and demonized and taunted and everything else in regards to this case, but we have actual proof from the police, from the ME. This proves David is innocent, that this narrative is not what we were being told. Even the documentary, that is all wrong.
Yep. So all that money that they got paid to make that thing that they put on Netflix.
Blood money.
Wrong. Yeah, blood money. And, I would like to put this out there for I don't know if I want to say his name, but from the Star Tribune, you know who you are. And I don't know if you watch the videos. I mean, you have answered a lot of my stuff before. Why aren't you writing a retraction?
Maybe he doesn't want to.
Huh?
Maybe he doesn't want to end up like David.
Well, that could be it too. I mean, I would think that your boss in your newspaper with this type of information would go, oh, look what we found. You could sell a lot of papers, get a lot of subscriptions and a lot of money with this. And that you made a lot of money calling him a killer. And you could make probably twice as much more by showing he's innocent, but you do nothing. And Nova says they went in blind and had already made up their Muppet minds before investigating properly. That is true. Absolutely true. I don't know what else we could say. I mean, we're just kind of, I think beating a dead horse at this point because I don't think there's anything else we can say to prove this case anymore.
Yeah. I mean, for me, and I hate to say this, the case is over. David's innocent. Whether or not this case ever gets reopened, and we ever find out if it's been reopened, I mean, that's a totally different story. But I mean, it's over. We have nothing else to discover. David is innocent.
Yep. Yeah, and that's true, and that's why I haven't really been doing much of anything, and why I wanted to come on live tonight, just to keep reiterating this, to keep putting it out there, so hopefully more and more people will see it and hear it and understand that this is the nail in the coffin. This settles it. There
Hmm.
there's there's no more arguing about this. Did he do it? Did he not do it? Yeah, no, he didn't. And we have the proof. It's in their own handwriting. So I don't think I have anything else to add to that tonight.
I don't either. I mean, it's in black and white. It's right there in the autopsy reports. Last page at the very end. I don't know what else to say. I mean, you could lead a horse to water, but you can't make it drink. So,
Yep. Okay. Oh, Rick has. Can you go over what prints are on the gun safe again, please? There is a reason I'm asking. It was only Kamel's DNA. They didn't find any prints, correct? But they found her DNA on the swab that they did of the gun safe. David was not on there. It
correct.
wasn't David. So that's another thing. You know, they're saying that he took that gun out and he snapped and he killed everybody, but yet it's his wife's DNA on the gun safe and David is excluded. Hello? McFly.
And I don't think that they actually found prints on the gun, but they found his DNA on the magazine of the gun. Was it? It's a magazine, right?
Right, right. Yeah, they found his the only place his blood was found for sure and in any kind of quantity was on the magazine, which was loaded inside of the gun. Now, we know that that doesn't happen from any type of that doesn't happen after the fact. So whoever had that magazine and loaded it into the gun had David's blood on their hands. Now, what they state in the reports is that there are some prints visible in blood, but it states that they could not discern if the prints in blood were the prints made visible because of the blood, or were those prints made in blood? They couldn't determine that, so they just left it alone and just said they just walked away from it. But from what I remember about on the gun itself, I think I remember reading that that they found prints on the gun, but they were not anything that they could use to match to anybody. Even the actual person who fired that gun, which we know wasn't David. So even them, they can't be matched because they just were not complete. There was enough there that they go, wait, there's a print, but that's it. They couldn't get any ridge detail or anything. But yeah, and as far as the safe goes, no prints, no. The only thing on there was they swabbed it and it came back for Kamel's DNA. David and Rodni were excluded. At least I believe they were excluded. Let me look that up real quick for you, and because I know that they were not part of that DNA, and I need to make sure that it doesn't say that they didn't match, because sometimes they write it doesn't match, and then other times they say excluded. I'm pulling that up right now. Hold on. And here we go. And was that item 38?
Mm-hmm.
Okay.
A mixture of two or more individuals. Female matches Kamel. Major profile does not match David or Rania.
Yeah.
So that's just a whole nother. Although they cannot be excluded as being possible contributors. But
Okay, so that's I wanted to make sure. So it doesn't match them, but there wasn't enough there that they could exclude them, exclude or include, but it doesn't match. So I mean, that tells me, I don't know, but I don't know, I'm not an expert in that field, or but that would tell me if it doesn't match, then it's not them. But
but they were testing close. The Never mind. Never mind. I don't want to get into it.
yeah,
So okay, I think that's it for me.
yeah. Do we have anything? Anybody else have any other questions before we shut this down for the night? Whoa, wait a second. But thank you for being here and listening to us first talk about steak and then talk about the case. I can't let you forget.
So, ugh.
Okay, Nova says, thank you, Team Crowley. Together we are strong. Much love from New Zealand. Got to go now. Bye. Thanks, Nova. Thank you so much. And
Thank you, Nova.
thank you for being here and asking these great questions. And let's see. And Greg, thank you, Greg. Thank you, Russell. And was there anyone else? I'm trying to go. I'm going too fast. I think that was everybody, right? I do believe for today. Oh, She-Wolf. She-Wolfie. Thank you for stopping by. And I think she was the one I was thinking about. So yeah, there we go. We've got everybody now. So, yep. Thank you, everybody. And I'm going to go ahead and shut this down. And, we'll probably still keep coming back every once in a while, just reiterating everything over and over and over again. There are some other things, like Sophie and I, if she's willing, and I think she is, to go back over like the phone records and more of the blood work.
Hmm.
And I think, the more that we keep this and keep showing and bringing out all of these things that prove he couldn't have done it, and then keep reiterating, well, he died first. Hopefully, this will make it to the police department and they'll understand that the jig is up. It's over. The party's over. So, thank you, everybody, for joining. Sophia, you want to say your goodbyes?
Thank you, everybody. I did pick Greg's link to the graystagewordpress.com in the live chat. And you can, sorry, let me move this a little bit. Getting a little Kilroy going on. You can also join the group, which is on Facebook, Justice for David Crowley and Family. And both the group and the graystagewordpress.com have the records. They have the autopsy reports. You could look at it yourselves. And the photos for the blood staining and stuff like that, the crime scene photos are there at the graystagewordpress.com. So everything that we discussed, you could find at those two places. We welcome you to join us there, and we can answer any questions that need to be answered. Other than that, just keep fighting for justice for this family.
Yeah, and also to reiterate what Sophia was saying, if you go to Greg's website, and then you can compare for yourselves items number 42, 43, and 44, and then compare that with items number 53 and 57. And yeah. Oh, yes, that's right. Hey, Rick, can you toss in your link here? I'll stay on long enough for you to put your link to your radio station. We did a roundtable discussion on Rick's radio show a few weeks ago, where we talked about the case, and it really was a very good discussion. It was like what, 2 hours long, and I know it was like 2 hours. It was a long one, but it was worth it. It was a super good discussion. So I'm going to wait for Rick to pop up his the link to his show. But again, go to Greg's site, and oh, is this it? Did you get it?
That's to
Oh,
the one that you uploaded.
okay, so here's the link to yeah, I posted it on my channel, and then also I want everybody to be able to get the link to Rick's radio show. So because he does them, I think every week, right? Right, Rick? Try to say that 3 times really fast. But
I'm still thinking about tofurkey.
I love tofurkey. Oh, it's my favorite. It's so good if it's done right. And there was in the archive section. Where in the archive section? Where do we go? Rick, help. But can you type in the link to your radio show? I don't have that. Because what Sophia posted was the link on my YouTube channel to the show, but I want people to get the link to your show. And how often do you do your show? Every Monday. Here we go. Rick does every Monday, 6 to 8 p.m. Eastern Standard Time in Studio A. And now we're just going to wait for him to pop up the link. He's looking for it. Just a second. But yeah, it's like, go to Greg's website and look at these documents. Look up the phone records, look up the blood analysis report, look at the photos, and then look at the autopsy reports. And I don't want to say forget everything else, but if you focus on those items, in fact, read everything else, but when you focus on those items, it's when you really see the picture. It's all there in black and white. Okay, Greg says I texted the link to Sophia. Rick may not be able to post links here. Oh, is that my doing? Can I change that? Okay,
He's not a moderator.
Oh, do I have to make him a moderator? Is that how I do that? How do I do this? Let's see.
Oh,
okay. Oops.
I just posted the link. Thank you, Greg.
Okay. Okay. Just let me know next time, Rick, if you want to be a moderator. I'll make you guys one. I don't care. That way you can post your stuff. But yes, you can find him on Revolutionary Radio. And then his past shows will be in the archives section. And his show is every Monday, 6 to 8 p.m. Eastern Standard Time in Studio A. And he does great shows. He does a lot of topics. So if you're interested in a variety of things, check him out. I think you'll be happy. Okay. Is that it?
That's it.
Okay. Thank you, everybody. And we're going to call it a night and end the broadcast. Thank you, everyone.
Good night, everybody.